Good morning, Charleston, and welcome to another edition of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. I'm your host, Brian Beatty, and we've got a lot to talk about today. Is the sky falling? Is the market really changing as quickly as some of the news outlets would lead you to believe? We're going to talk about a lot of that in the first half of the show, and then we're going to talk about some specific things that I think you should know if you're a buyer approaching this market right now. And if you're a seller, yes, the market has changed. We do need to be aware of some of those changes and have reasonable expectations. So I'm going to help you get us through these changes in the market. We've been talking about them for months, actually, and we finally have some data to support that. So that's the plan for the show. Now, if at any point in time you feel like you want to reach out to me and ask me a question, you'd like to talk about your specific situation, you're thinking of buying a home, selling a home, maybe both, or investing in real estate or selling real estate, or you have a property that you need to rent. We're a full-service real estate company, and we'd love the opportunity to earn your business. Our number is 843-800-0065. That's 843-800-0065. Call or text us on that number at any time. It'll go to me directly. And if that's not your gig, if you don't want to call or text, then just visit us online. Listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. And last but not least, you could just email me, brian@brianbeattyteam.com. So let's dive right into it. Home prices declined 0.77% from June to July, and this is nationally, and that's the first monthly decline we've seen in nearly 3 years, according to a company called Black Knight, which is a mortgage software data and analytics firm, leader in the field. And so while that drop might seem small, 0.77%, it's actually the largest single month decline in prices we've had over the past 11 years, and it's the second worst July on record, worst being in 2010, right after prices were falling rapidly from the Great Recession. And so what's unusual about this is that prices typically go up from June to July, and that's because there's just the seasonal nature of the real estate market. A lot of folks list their home in the spring to try and target families that want to sell their home and then move into a larger one over the summer when school's out so they don't disrupt kids during the school year. It makes sense. But now, even prices are still up 14% nationwide. So in the grand scheme of things, we're okay, but a lot of that was driven by the first few months of the year before the spike in interest rates. The average rate at the beginning of the year was around 3%. We've talked about how the monthly payment has gone up by about 50%. So we started out the year at 3%, then they shot up to over 6% in May. Now they're kind of hovering around 5 3/4, 5.75. So we've had a lot of leftover demand from last year. A lot of buyers certainly wanted to be in a home by the end of the year last year, but with multiple offers being the norm and many of them losing their bidding war or wars, they were involved in that. Of course, it spilled over into the first quarter of this year, and so from a national perspective, home prices on the West Coast, which is kind of interesting, were down like 5-10%. And as we all know, a lot of these people are moving inland or switching coasts in favor of somewhere like Charleston, South Carolina. Still moving here with plenty of money to spend on housing, by the way, compared to their own prices. But for buyers, this is really good news. We've been kind of waiting as buyers for there to be some good news in our market over the course of the past several years because it's been such a market that favors sellers. And it comes at a really good time, quite frankly, because housing affordability is the lowest it's been in 30 years. It requires about 33% of the median household income to purchase the average home right now using a 20% down payment on a 30-year fixed loan given prevailing interest rates. That's about 13 percentage points more than it did entering the pandemic, and significantly more than both the years before and after the Great Recession. The 25-year average for affordability, or the percentage of household income that's needed to purchase the average priced home in that area, the 25-year average is 23.5%. We're at 33%. So we've talked about affordability being the thing that we should be most focused on. Yes, we talk about inventory and sales and prices and so on and so forth, but when affordability dips down as low as it has, it creates some very serious issues for the market. And on top of that, I think buyers are now feeling more validated about their opinion of the shifting market. You know, we're transitioning from it feeling like the market is changing to actually seeing the data that supports it. And we've been talking about this for months on this program, which is why it's, I think, important to tune into this this kind of program. As an agent that's been selling real estate for 17 years in this market, that's done about $1 billion worth of real estate volume. We can tell you what's happening in the market before other news or media outlets because we have an ear to the ground and are in tune with the thoughts and the feelings of the general public as it relates to housing, which of course impacts their actions or inactions and adjusts it accordingly. And so, locally, even though we only have access to July's numbers so far, and that obviously the month is coming to an end here pretty quickly, median sales prices were actually down from May to June and then down again from June to July. Things that we're just not hearing a lot about. So you put that into perspective, the median sales price locally in January was $360,000. In May, it was $425,000. I mean, that is a massive spike in a 5-month period. And if we're talking about affordability being one of these main factors that we should really hone in on, affordability has actually gotten a little bit better since those prices have come down a touch. Not by much, but affordability really bottomed out in May of this year when, according to the data, the median household income in Charleston was only 67% of what was necessary to qualify for a median priced home, even if you were putting down 20%. As of July, median household income was 72% of what was necessary to qualify for the median priced home in our area. This time last year, we were at 103%, meaning, generally speaking, people made enough money to afford the median priced home in our area. Wages and home prices were in line. They are certainly out of line now. And so, going back to some of this data that was produced by Black Knight, their VP said, and I quote, "We've been advising for quite some time that the dynamic between interest rates, housing inventory, and home prices was untenable from an affordability perspective, and at some point something would have to give. We're now seeing exactly that, with July's data providing clear evidence of a significant inflection point in the market. Further price reductions are likely on the horizon as we move into what we typically call a more neutral real estate market and neutral seasonal months for the housing market." So, of course, we also need to talk about inventory and pending and closed sales. As we've got listings, we've got homes that are going under contract, we have homes that are closing, we monitor the price, we monitor affordability, and we share some of this data with you on this program so that you guys have a really clear understanding and direction as to where the market's headed. We can use that to game plan with our clients. We have folks that ask us all the time, when's the best time to buy? When's the best time to sell? And it's really tough to answer that question if we don't have a very good grip on the data and the trends, and then of course the thoughts, the feelings, the opinions, the emotions of the buyers and sellers in that particular market. And so I want to talk just a little bit more about what's going on here in our market, and then we'll switch gears a little bit and we'll talk about if we're going to sell a home in this market, let's have some proper expectations. Yes, the market is changing. Has it changed all that much? Not all that much, but I do think that we've got a little bit more work that we need to do on the seller side than we're used to having to do. On the buyer side, we've got some more opportunity now. So let's talk more about entering a market where not only are things slowing down from a macro perspective, but we've also got the seasonality of the market starting to slow down. So we have some interesting opportunities to talk about there as well. Stick around for more of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. right here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. And remember, if you want to reach out to me for more information on helping you buy, sell, or invest in real estate, maybe you have a home that you would like to have managed. We own a property management company. Or if you're thinking of selling real estate as a career, then we're also hiring. All of that information can be found at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or give us a call, 843-800-0065. Stick around. We'll be right back.